You've seen my video giving you the proof that we're all in the Matrix. And you've seen my video giving you the proof that life is a video game. Now, let me give you the proof that life is actually an MMORPG video game.
Oh my god!
Holy fudge! Oh. Nice.
Life is an MMORPG video game.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say that you play video games. But there is a game that we all play,
A game that we all have a character in.
whether we like it or not. Yes, I'm talking about life.
The extra hard setting, sandbox,
Permadeath, MMORPG that we're all forced to play. It's pay to win.
a grinding, hustling and exhausting ride. The tutorial takes ages. It sucks when you're doing it, but you miss it when you finish it. And there's so many stats to build up, a lot of players just leave it on autoplay. It's a dizzying, distracting, colourful, blinding ride of dopamine-filled, drug-fueled, revelling revelations, epiphanies and disasters. Welcome to life, the human being experience.
What the heck does MMORPG mean? Anyone that plays video games knows that MMORPG is short for Massively Multiplayer Online Role-Playing Video Game. Let me just break that down for you. Massively. Life is massive.
There's over 7 billion players in this metaverse and growing, so it's very popular.
Multiplayer. It is a multiplayer game. We're all hooked up, competing against each other in this experience of a lifetime as a human being on planet Earth in the year 2021. Online. It's just like an online video game where you play against other players from all over the world.
Similarly, the Thing playing as us could be jacking in from all over their known universe and further to play this very in-demand and extra hard game called life.
Above this reality, when you take off the headset, which you can only really do if your human avatar dies, I'll bet you it's teeming with life.
Trillions of souls existing in the universe above this one.
And jumping into this very popular simulation of the human being, role-playing. You are playing the role of a human being on the planet Earth in the year 2021.
You're given a whole new identity, which is your name and genetics and environment.
And you can only play as that character for that lifetime. Game. Life is a game, even though most people will try and tell you differently.
They'll tell you with furrowed brows to take it seriously. Life is serious.
I'm not sure what sort of game this is, but at times it certainly feels like it's a pay to play. Perhaps this game was made by EA.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Having an experience of a human is about the real player.
The real you, who probably is living in some fantasy utopian world where everything is sorted. There is virtually no crime and nothing to do.
And so, bored.
They jack into the Matrix and have a lifetime as you.
I mean, kills a few hours, doesn't it? Perhaps the more money you have in base reality, if there is such a thing, the better the experience you can buy. Could be like going on holiday. If you're poor, you can only afford a 2-star experience. But if you're rich, you can afford a 5-star experience. With all the trimmings. A 2-star experience could be, say, a Chinese farmer girl in the year 1527 AD.
But a 5-star experience could be, say, an LA porn star in 1998.
I was playing video games last night actually, while my friend was sitting next to me watching. He said to me, I wish real life was more like video games. So I locked him in the cupboard and told him if he wants to access the rest of my house, he's going to have to pay 25 quid for the DLC. That was the same friend who was absolutely devastated when he didn't get a PlayStation 5 for Christmas. I mean, none of us could console him. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to thank my mom, my dad, everyone who knows me.
Let me ask you this question again. Why do you play video games?
For fun? To kill boredom?
To do things that you can't do in the real world. Like hijack cars and shoot people and compete against other players.
Number one, for fun. Competing against others is fun, isn't it? In a big online multiplayer video game. and it's pretty euphoric when you win and come first out of 99 other players. Number 2 is to kill boredom, because we live in quite a safe world now, don't we?
Even though the news tries to pretend otherwise. But us humans have a human nature that is still rooted in our evolution as animalistic beings. Sometimes we just need to satiate our need for violence. 3. To do things you couldn't ordinarily do, like shoot people.
Now I would much rather you went into another simulation and shot a load of people than shot people in this simulation.
Finally, challenge. To expand as beings, learning new skills, meeting new people, having adventures and experiences in a huge open world where you forget who you really are, to grow and learn and use that experience in your own life in base reality.
That's why we humans play video games.
But I think it's the same for the intelligence that really controls us.
The whole point of this life could be to lose yourself in something else, forgetting who you are and playing the game of finding yourself. It's funny, I actually have a memory of one of my past lives. I tried to log in as a female in the China server, but it just keeps crashing on the loading screen. I think this summarises the game of life pretty well. You want to check out this new game? You try to acquire riches and battle evil forces as you advance through a strange and mysterious world. Sounds awesome, Dad! Out you go. More so, some people like to think that they're the only player in this world, and everyone else is an NPC. Selfish! That's about as selfish as the beaver, who said to the deer that asked him to help stop the flooding on her grazing grounds. You know what he said to her? Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
I've explored the idea of NPCs already and I said that it was nonsense. I think everyone is a player, just like in an online, multiplayer video game. There's no NPCs there.
Animals might be NPCs. I've always thought it was strange that movies could literally show hundreds of humans being massacred and no one bats an eye. But you drown just one little kitten and they ask you to leave the swimming pool.
The human being experience.
This is the human being experience, and everyone is a player. Perhaps somewhere in an arcade in deep space, there's a machine called Life. The human being experience. You pop in a quid, or whatever your currency is.
Put the headset on and wham, you're living as you.
I wonder what the soundtrack to Life would be. Dunno, but I bet it's written by Hans Zimmer. Which reminds me, I don't know if you know this about me, but me and my friends used to be in a band called the Duvets. We were mostly just a cover band. There are no distinct objectives in the human being experience, except not dying.
Perhaps the white light people see when they're apparently dying is them taking off the VR headset.
And so, because you have free will, it's up to you to figure out what you want to do with your time here.
This is the new patch though, because previously your ancestors likely had very little choice in what they did.
Or they were severely limited to whatever sort of apprenticeships were available in the local town.
What most players do in this human experience is trade their time for money.
During this time, you could be mistaken for an NPC, because you always have to run scripts like, do you want fries with that? Do you want to go large? Blah, blah, blah. But you have to say all that to get your currency. I mean, you can do this for a while, but what you need to do if you want to break free of this societal matrix is to build up a fat wad of cash and buy your way out of having to work. This is a review for the MMORPG called Life. Let's start with the graphics.
Fuck me, they're amazing. Like really crisp, you know?
Except China. Character creation, in contrast to all the other MMORPGs out there.
The character creator in the game of life is not fully controlled by the player of the character. We're all born without any way to control how our initial look will be.
It's like pressing the randomise button. You get what you get. You can tweak it.
Like grow bigger muscles or just getting in shape.
Oh no! I can't believe I forgot to go to the gym today. That's 5 years in a row now. Or if you get enough gold, go and get some plastic surgery would be my advice. But there are things you just can't change. You can't change your height, which is bloody annoying for me, because I'm only 5'7", which is shit. Mind you, the good thing about us short guys is that we're very down to earth. Difficulty setting.
For instance, being born in these areas is likely to be on medium mode, and all the others is on hard mode.
However, it can depend. For instance, you might be born into a very, very, very poor part of Africa, but your parents are the richest in that village. Or you might be born poor in India, but you're the right class, so you get more opportunity. So difficulty settings are about way more than about what region you spawn into.
You could be born into luxury in the US, but your parents could be horrible and it fucks you up for life.
However, the good thing about the game, in fact the most fun thing about the game, is that you can move classes. If you're poor, you can become rich. This is the American dream, a large part of why the game is so bloody successful today. Mind you, as the great late George Carlin said, it's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it. Factions! Just like any good MMORPG, you get to choose a faction.
These range in fantasy games from wizards, orcs and healers.
But in this game, you can be lawyers, doctors, teachers, or you can even choose to play with no faction and still be able to level up at the same speed as other players. And there are specific quests inside each faction.
For instance, to become a police, you have to pass police college and then specify as a certain type of police, don't you? Like armed police, traffic cop, CID, whatever. Some take longer than others. To be a teacher, it's only a year to become that faction.
But to become a doctor, however, it can take up to 9 years. And if you're an Egyptian doctor, you're a chiropractor. There are also factions to join like sports teams, political teams, and religious groups. These are good because it gives you ready-made antagonists. And we all know without an antagonist, you won't grow and level up very much.
Just like in a video game, you need the evil bad guys to fight against. Those are the boss levels.
Achievements! In this game we call life, there are a myriad of achievements to attain. Some are hard to attain, and some are easy. There are a few achievements that stand out, since they can give you a lot of XP points if you do it right. The two hardest and thus most commonly sought out are marriage and children.
It also allows you to pass on 50% of your DNA, as they call it in the game, or as I prefer, genetic code, to the next generation.
They did patch this a few years ago to bypass marriage before children, but some people still prefer the old way before the latest patch. But aside from them, there are numerous other achievements in this game called life. What do you get if you mix human DNA and whale DNA? Banned from SeaWorld, that's for sure. I just want to add something quickly, because I think every experience that one of you goes through is no greater or smaller than another. Every single experience is valid, even if it's shit. There is no such thing as a shit life, only how you interpret it.
You need to think of it from your soul's point of view. It chose you. It wanted to live as you for a lifetime. It wanted the exact experiences that you've had and are having.
And for what reason? To learn all the things that you have learned and are yet to learn. So, when you feel sad, just remember that you are you for a reason. You already know this. Now all you need to do is understand why.
It's not possible to go wrong or go off track.
There's no such thing, because it's all within the confines of life. If you feel that way, that's just the human part of you, wanting life to conform to the way that you want it to go.
That you envisioned it would go.
Winning the game of life. If life is just a game, then how do we win? Well, that's slightly open to interpretation. And this is the point of the human being experience. It's an experience, so it's not something you can necessarily win.
In the same way, you can't win on a roller coaster ride.
You go on it for the ride, not to win. However, I think there's one way you can win at the game called life, and it's this.
Doing what you like and getting paid. Now that to me is winning.